Hello guys, welcome back to another video. I've been asked many times about the white sockets on my gear. For example, these 3 white sockets that I have here, these 3 white sockets I have here, these 2 white sockets, and these 3 right here. So I wanted to make a video showing first how you get these 3 easy white sockets that you can get for decently cheap, and also how to make any item full white sockets. So for that, I bought a new ivory tower which has the max roll of explicit defense modifiers that you can get. If you saw the first ivory tower video that I made, you remember that we used tailoring orbs to get this 8%, but now with more money I spent like 50 to 60 div just slamming tailoring orbs on a max roll ivory tower until I got the 15 roll, which is the maximum. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it full white sockets. So the first 3 white sockets are the easiest ones to get, and for those we only need omens of blanching. What these omens do is that whenever you have them in your inventory and you use a chromatic orb, they will do the normal thing a chromatic orb does, which is re-roll the colors of your sockets, but they will make 1 to 3 of your sockets white. So the idea is to use blanching orbs until you hit 3 white sockets. My recommendation is that you start with an item with 3 sockets only, since that will ensure that the white sockets are gonna be at the beginning, in the same way as this. The reason why is because we can craft the rest of the sockets the color that we want through the crafting bench. But if the white sockets, for example, are these right here, we're not gonna be able to target these, and we're gonna have to reroll this. So what we want is an item where the white sockets are at the beginning. So I suggest that if you don't have so much money to get the 6 sockets, you start with only 3, and for that you should do it with a base that has only 3 sockets. Now I'm gonna put this in my inventory and we're gonna hit this with a chromatic orb. As you can see, we only got 1 white socket, so we're gonna try again until we hit 3 white sockets. There we go, second one, and it's already 3 white sockets. So with this, for example, is where I stopped earlier in the league when I didn't have that much money, and now we're gonna move on to the rest of the sockets. Now, what I was saying about using the first 3 sockets to get them white before you add the rest of the sockets is because of the following. I'm gonna show you a cool little trick that you can do if you want to target specific colors in your gear. For example, right here, I only have 3 sockets on my armor, and if I wanted, for example, 3 blue sockets on top of that, instead of just randomly adding more sockets and re-rolling with chromatic orbs, which if you do, you're gonna lose your white sockets, so be careful with that. What I would do is go into the sockets in the crafting bench and then add a 4th socket. For example, this one hit blue, and since that's the one that we would want in this situation, I'm gonna go ahead and hit 5 sockets. This one rolled red. If I don't want red and I want blue, what I would do is go back to 4 sockets and then go back to 5. This way we can re-roll the sockets without changing the whole thing, and we would do the same until we hit the color that we want. There we go. We have now 2 blue sockets, and you can do the same thing for the 6th socket. A tip is that you can hold Control and click on the option and it's gonna instantly craft it. For example, here we hit the 3 blue sockets. I'm gonna show what would happen if I didn't. I hit it again, and here if I hit, for example, a 6th socket that is red, what I would do is I go back to 5 sockets and then keep re-rolling them until we hit the blue socket that we want. That way you can target specific colors that you need, and this is really good when you have armor, for example, with strength and int, and you want a green socket. For example, in this case, as you can see, we didn't even roll a single green socket, so you would do that until you hit the color that you want. That way you don't have to re-roll the 6 sockets at the same time. It's gonna be a bit expensive since you need a bunch of these, but at this point of the league they sell for really cheap, so if you prepare like 2 divine, you shouldn't have any problem with this. So yeah, that's a little trick. Now let's get to the full 6 white sockets. Now we want to go to the Horde crafting station, and here we want to look for white sockets. Now with this crafting, what we can do is just turn any of these sockets into white, even counting the white sockets that we already have. So this is where the expensive part of the crafting comes in. As you can see, the price is 12.5k red juice and 1 sacred life force. So if I'm not mistaken, each one of these is gonna cost you around 1.2 divine, something like that, and you're gonna have to do a bunch of times if you want to get the 6 links. So what you want to do is just select it and hit craft, As you can see, the first time it hit one of the white sockets, so nothing happened. So now you just gotta be patient and have a decent amount of money to get the rest. I'm gonna hit again. It didn't hit anything. Again, it didn't hit anything. Again, it hit the fourth socket. So the more you do this, the more expensive it's gonna become, since right now we have even less of a chance to hit these two. Since before we had 3 sockets to hit and now we only have 2, so we're gonna have to do this a bunch of times. There we go, we hit the 5th link. Remember, every time I click on this is more than a div that is getting discounted from my capital, so this kind of hurts, but I want that 6 white sockets. There we go. I was really lucky right now. I was really lucky. That 6th socket, I think the chance was like 1 in 12 or something to hit it. And I actually hit it right after the 5th socket. So as you can see, doing this, we can get a full 6 white socket piece of gear. If you want to get, for example, a 4 link with full white sockets, that's going to be cheaper, of course, since you can get 3 with a blanching orb and then just have to hit 1 more with this. But yeah, we were really lucky, and with this we have a 6 link with full white sockets. Is this necessary? Absolutely not. As you can see, I only have 3 and I can easily put everything that is not common, like these 3 green sockets, on the white ones, and then use the more common sockets for my spells. But if you want to have a bit of a luxury item, if you want to call it like that, you can do this procedure. It might cost you like 20 div or even more than that if you're really unlucky. In my case, as you can see, it costed me like 8 div or 9 divs. I really don't know how many times I clicked on it, but around that. And as you can see, we made a full 6 link white sockets. You can of course do this with any piece of equipment, except of course the ones that are corrupted like these, because you cannot modify them with omens and stuff like that. And if you're wondering, tainted chromatic orbs do not work with this omen, only normal chromatic orbs, so we cannot even use blanching on these. But yeah, if you have a normal item, this works with of course any normal item, not only uniques or stuff like that. If you have a rare body armor, you can get it with full white sockets, and at the end of the day, it's just a little bit of quality of life. If you want to change around some gems and stuff, you can do it without having to worry about your sockets and having to change them and all. You can just move around everything that you want here. So that's it for the process. Very straightforward, quite simple, but I personally didn't know this until I looked it up, and I found like a Reddit thread where they mentioned this, but I had no idea that the Hordy crafting station had that option. So if you had any doubts of how I got these 3 sockets here, and this here and this here on color white, that's how I did it, mainly with blanching orbs. And if you want to go ahead and get the full item with white sockets, this is how we do it, with Harvest Craft. So if this video was useful for you and you would like to see more of them, please subscribe, leave a like, comment, all that stuff, and I will see you on the next video. Bye bye.